The Politics program is brought to you, as always, by patreon.com/JURY. Support the show, and if you are at the $3 a week level, which is just $3, all right? Like, I know it says per creation. Patreon won't let me say per week, but it's per week. You get 2 extra bonus episodes of the show. One on Monday, one on Friday. A lot of stuff happens these days. A lot of stuff happens fast. A lot of things don't last a week. A lot of times we are just talking about the things that pop off on Wednesday, but what of the things that happen on Thursday, on Friday, on Saturday, and on Sunday, huh? On Monday, even. Well, you got to get those extra pods. Go ahead and check it out. You get a custom RSS feed. You pop it right into your Apple Podcasts, into your Google Podcasts, into whatever bespoke app you have. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. You can do it on the phone. Trust me. Also, if you want to support this show and you have Amazon Prime, then head on over to twitch.tv/JustinRYoung. Connect your Twitch Prime. Connect your Amazon Prime to your Twitch account. Subscribe to the channel. It's free. Literally, the money goes away if you don't spend it. So it's my money. Please give it to me. Twitch.tv/JustinRYoung. One more note. If you're in the Southern California area, talking San Diego, talking LA, baby, Santa Monica to be specific, we have live Night Attacks. Me and Brian Brushwood are coming to your city. June 9th, June 10th. Go ahead and get tickets at nightattack.tv/tour. Again, nightattack.tv/tour. San Diego, June 9th, and Santa Monica at the West Side Comedy Theater on June 10th. But enough of talking about how we support the show. What do you say we just do the damn thing?
Politics, 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 politics. Yes. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on, baby, 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 baby.
Oh, it's the ghost of weird weeks in politics. Oh, no. Rattling the chains of absurdity. Rattle, rattle. Whoa, is that... Did you hear that knocking? Oh, it's ridiculousness. Oh, I'm not moving this silly needle, are you? Oh, welcome to the Politics program. My name is Justin Robert Young, but hell, you can call me Jury. I feel bad. I do. I feel really bad. I feel very, very bad for other politics podcasts. I do. I feel for them. Because all these other politics podcasts, all these other politics websites, all these other politics TV shows, they look at a week like this and they're like, too silly. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I've been looking sternly into this camera and I've been saying, sir, that you, sir, should be ashamed, sir. That there are serious consequences to this world of politics, and for you to be violating it is something that I cannot stand for. And I have been telling all of my listeners that you need to be taking it seriously too. If you're not taking it so seriously, then we're gonna lose. The other side, they're taking it so super serial. So what do you do on a week where Kim Kardashian visits the White House? Huh? Dick face? I don't know why I got aggressive there. I'm sorry. I apologize to all the political podcasts and TV shows and websites. Kim Kardashian's in the White House right now. Kim Kardashian is at the center of so much. She, of course, wife of Kanye West, peripherally involved in the murder of Drake last night on Twitter. Drake got murdered. Turns out the 6 God stands for 6 feet under. But she's at the White House. Why is she at the White House? Well, that's a good question. It's a good question. Maybe we can answer it. This, according to, what is this? Vanity Fair. We read now from a story written by Emily Jane Fox. After months of back-channel talks between Kim Kardashian and Jared Kushner, the high priestess of reality television is coming to the White House. By late afternoon Wednesday, Secret Service agents will wave Kardashian and her attorney through the Southwest appointment gates to the West Wing, where she will meet with Kushner to discuss prison reform before he walks with them to sit down with Donald Trump, likely in the Oval Office, along with White House counsel. According to one person familiar with the meeting, Kardashian plans to ask Trump to pardon a woman serving a life sentence without parole for a first-time drug offense. White House staffers have joked about who will get to accompany her to the West Wing and what they should wear for the occasion. The White House did not immediately respond to requests for comments. Of course, prison reform is something that Jared Kushner knows quite a bit about, as his father went to jail. What did I tell y'all? What did I tell y'all? When Kanye West put on the MAGA hat, what did I say? What did I tell you people? I said that this was the most important story in politics. Oh, it's not the most important story in politics. It's just, well, whatever. It's another celebrity spewing off his political opinions, and he's Kanye West. He's kind of crazy. And I said, yes, and dick face. Now we have his wife meeting with the president. We need to understand that the rules are rewritten. At least in this White House. Now, maybe it's in 2020, Trump's going to get voted out. Maybe everything goes back to the way they were. But I don't think so. I think in the parlance of the Joker, to Batman, you changed things. And at the very least, right now, that is absolutely the case. Because it's not just Kim Kardashian in the White House, and we'll see what, if anything, comes of it. Think she's going to take a naked selfie in the bathroom? That would break the internet. Because we're also knee-deep in another silly story. Well, I don't know. Is the Rosanne story silly? We're streaming live on twitch.tv/JustinRYoung. Let me ask the chat. Is the Rosanne story silly, yes or no? Also, will Kim Kardashian be twerking in the leaking bedroom with Kendall Jenner? Because I don't know. I mean, look, there's a fairly ugly racial slur involved. So I don't want to call it silly, but at the end of the day, it's the president of the United States involving himself in a fairly well-proven, mentally unstable stand-up comedian / actress imploding her career. If you've been living under a rock, here's what happened. Roseanne Barr, who relaunched her show Roseanne, the titular program Roseanne, on ABC last year to tremendous success. garnering 18 million viewers on night one and 10 million viewers for its season finale. It made waves not only because it was an oldie but goodie returning, but also because there was an update. Rosanne historically always was the tale of the underclass, specifically the white underclass, the working poor, blue-collar tales on a medium that normally focused on fancy people in fancy suits in fancy cities doing fancy things. So how do you update a story like that? Well, according to Rosanne, you reflect the times. I don't know if people realize, but there were a lot of blue-collar voters that voted for Donald Trump. And so in this incarnation of the program, Rosanne was on the MAGA train. This was highly controversial, compounded by the fact that Rosanne herself has complicated political leanings. To classify Rosanne as one side of the ideological perspective or another, if you really look at what she said, is hard. However, what is not hard is firing her after she gets on Twitter 24 plus hours ago and says a lot of things. Something's true, something's not. Let's work around this before we get to the gooey, racist center. She said that Chelsea Clinton was married to a George Soros nephew. Jurifact rates that false. She is not married to anybody related to George Soros, the activist billionaire. She went on to say that Soros was aiming to deconstruct the constitutionally elected democracy that we have in America by way of replacing law enforcement. She said that there is, very simply, one way that you can subvert this, by making the laws not about the laws, but making the laws about feelings. Okay? That's a conspiracy theory, but that's all right. But here's where things get sticky. Told you we'd get to the gooey, racist core. You must travel through the racist core. She said that Valerie Jarrett, the Obama aide, was a combination of the Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes. She then went to sleep, and when she woke up, her world was on fire. She had been denounced by people who worked on their show, including Wanda Sykes, who was a writer. Been denounced by Sarah Gilbert, the daughter, Darlene, who was then, or was also apparently the push behind reviving the show in the first place. And by the middle of the day, ABC decided to cancel their biggest success of last season. There's an old saying that my pal Brian Brushwood and myself, by the way, coming to San Diego and Santa Monica live June 9th and June 10th, go to natitech.tv/tour for tickets. Very reasonably priced. Pub crawl after the San Diego show on Saturday. Special guests, Tom Merritt, Andrew May, and Anthony Carboni for the show on Sunday. But there's a saying that we have with each other that it doesn't matter why you said the thing. It just matters that you said the thing. Because in the cold light of the internet, when the storm starts a-swirling, nobody is here for explanation. Sure as fuck aren't here for excuses. So when you call a black person a half ape, it doesn't matter that you didn't mean it. It doesn't matter that you thought she was white. It doesn't matter that you were apparently on Ambien. You said the thing. But let me tell you a little something about Ambien that might give you a little context to how I'm thinking about this Rosanne Barr situation. I know a friend of mine, known her for years. She has a real light sleeping issue. She's one of these motherfuckers that needs some real Princess in the Pea type shit. She's got to have exactly her comforter, exactly her pillows, just one of those situations where everything's got to be right for her to be able to go to sleep. And at a certain point, it became harder and harder, and she was stressed. She was going through school at the time. She was trying to get a doctorate. So she decides that she is going to take Ambien. And for the first few nights, it's great. Every once in a while, there's some hairy shit. She might take the Ambien and then feel a little bit hungry. And by the time that she's halfway to the fridge, she feels like she's just going to fall down and crawl into a little fetal position and sleep on the floor. Like one of them kind of moves. But by and large, it is God's gift. Oh, sweet Morpheus, drip your sleep into my ear because I'm getting 8 hours. And it is REM sleep, baby. And then one morning she woke up and she went over to her iPod. She picked up her iPod because she usually used it to work out in the morning. She looked at the playlist that she normally plays for her workout and found out that it was not the same playlist. No. There was a new playlist on her iPod. And it was called Ambien Playlist. Did somebody break into her house and organize a playlist, assuming that she was passed out on Ambien? Was it mayhaps some kind of ninja that barrel rolled in only to leave her this auditory treat? No. If we were to call Occam and ask him to bring his razor, he would say exactly what happened. She got fucked up on Ambien and then made herself a playlist. Now, I tell you all this to get to this point. When she listened to the playlist, it wasn't garbage. It wasn't bad. In fact, it was a better playlist than the one she normally worked out to. So while Ambien can certainly bring upon some things that you might not expect, the fact that she got what she really wanted out of those actions tells you the whole story. Ambien doesn't make you make playlists, but it does allow you to make the playlist that you really wanted to make in the first place. And lo, she got fired from her show at ABC. Okay, quick updates. Eric Greitens. We've been telling you about Eric Greitens for months and months and months. He is the now ex-governor of Missouri. If you would not like, or if you need a real quick refresher, Eric Greitens was an outsider candidate for governor. He won. He is an ex-Navy SEAL. Apparently, before he became the governor, he had a little dalliance with his hairdresser. The hairdresser was going through the dissolution of her marriage and fell under the sway of the fit, ambitious man for whom was her client. It was during one of those dalliances that she went to his house when Eric's wife was not there. Eric asked her to come down to the basement because he wanted to show her how to do a perfect pull-up. As you might imagine, an ex-Navy SEAL, certainly one for whom physical fitness is a top priority. It was at that point that he tied her arms to his pull-up bar. He undressed her, put on a blindfold, and took a picture. He then had some, let's say, salty phrases. It was very 50 Shades of Grey, except for that one. What's that one thing? It's like 50 Shades of Grey. It's like bondage, you know. Except what is that? What is that one thing? What is that one thing? Oh yeah. Consent. Yeah. That one thing. He didn't so much as get that. A fairly key element of a back and forth like that. So he took a picture and said, "You're never going to tell anybody about this because otherwise I'll spread this around and you're a whore and you're my whore." So we don't need to get into the blow-by-blow of what goes on after that. The wife has a conversation with her soon-to-be ex-husband about it. The ex-husband tapes her in confessing that this happened. The ex-husband then goes to a television station, and now this scandal becomes full-blown. Greitens had fought it up until yesterday. We read now from a CNN story. Embattled Missouri Governor Eric Greitens announced on Tuesday he will resign over the scandals that have dominated his tenure. The Republican governor has been embroiled in controversy after facing accusations of sexual misconduct and misusing a charity donor list. In recent months, Greitens has been indicted on felony computer tampering charge related to the donor list and a felony invasion of privacy charge, although that charge was dropped earlier this month. They were going to refile it anyway. They still probably will. In a statement released shortly after Greitens announced his resignation, St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kimberly Gardner said a fair and just resolution of pending charges against the governor would be reached and that additional information regarding the resolution would be released on Wednesday. Greitens said that he is not perfect, but he has not broken any laws nor committed any offense worthy of this treatment. He went on to say, "This ordeal has been designed to cause an incredible amount of strain on my family. Millions of dollars of mounting legal bills, endless personal attacks designed to cause maximum damage to my family and friends, legal harassment of my colleagues, friends, and campaign workers. And it's clear that the forces that oppose us, there are no end in sight. I cannot allow those forces to continue to cause pain and difficulty to the people that I love." I don't really have a lot more on Eric Greitens. I feel like we're kind of at the end of the tale of the Greitens. We did learn a couple things, though. We very much learned that consent is not only sexy, it might be a necessity for political viability. We learned that if you are not of the system, I would be very curious to see how this would go if Greitens was not an outsider, but rather of the Missouri Republican establishment. Because I suspect that he would have had more support if he was. That's not saying he should have had more support. It's me saying he would have had more support. And, well, we learned that Missouri is a one-party consent state when it comes to recording somebody. Because I remind you, and even in her testimony, the woman who is the victim of all this wanted this to go away, wanted no part of this, wanted to just go on with her life. And I'm sure that Eric Greitens right now is saying, and I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you meddling ex-husbands. Because it was the ex-husband going to KMOX with that tape that turned everything upside down. Now, maybe this happens some other way, and maybe at some point this woman says, you want to know what? I do want to bury this motherfucker, and she goes off on her own. But now we know. And knowing, my friends, is half the battle. We do have one big story that we did not talk about last week. Did we talk about this last week? Did we talk about North Korea last week, or did that happen? No, we did not talk about North Korea last week. So, since we've been gone, North Korea fell apart. Now North Korea is back? Question mark. Let's start at the beginning. Donald Trump released a letter saying that the North Korean summit in Singapore was off. He regretted it. He was sad it happened. He thanked Kim Jong-un for the gestures of sending back hostages and dismantling a nuclear site that may or may not have already been blown up Wile E. Coyote style by North Korea itself. But it was over. Although, if you got the $3 podcast, I told you then, and as I'll tell you now, that it was not over. And it is not over, as it turns out. Because if it was over, Donald Trump would not have sent a letter on White House stationery saying, to His Excellency. He would have sent a tweet that said, Little Rocket Man, you done fucked up. And so the news today, oh boy, is that indeed we might be back on the road to a summit on June 12th in Singapore. This is courtesy of the Washington Post. Discussing some of the issues. Apparently, Kim Jong-un responded very favorably to the increased talks. And also, I mean, look, pay attention to the leaks. Here were the leaks. The leaks were that Kim Jong-un started ghosting, or at least the North Korean regime started ghosting the American contingent. The other leak was that Kim Jong-un had been far more distant the more he talked to China. As we have said before, during, and after this entire process, North Korea isn't really about North Korea. North Korea is about China. North Korea doesn't exist in the form that we know it if China isn't China. China wants two things. Number one, to make sure that a United States allied country does not share a border with it. And number two, to have a bargaining chip for any kind of negotiation with the West. So being in league with the crazy neighbor up north who keeps threatening to blow everybody off, or blow everybody up, I mean, I guess blowing people off was part of the problem here, gets them what they want. So we go now to a Washington Post article written by John Hudson in Singapore. At an island resort secluded from the throngs of international reporters, a top aide to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un met with his American counterpart Wednesday to plan one of the most highly anticipated diplomatic events of the decade. The president in Singapore, with one of three bilateral meetings this week aimed at salvaging a summit between Kim and President Trump, dealt purely with logistics, but has been shrouded in secrecy. Hotel security blocked journalists from the premises to the resort off Singapore's southeastern coast, and the White House and State Department declined to confirm even mundane details such as meeting dates and participants. The logistics meeting came amid fresh doubts that Kim and President Trump will actually sit down to negotiate the U.S. demand for complete dismantlement of Pyongyang's nuclear program. Nuclear, not nuclear. Whatever. Last week, Trump canceled the summit, but days later approved a flurry of new talks in New York, Singapore, and the Korean demilitarized zone to explore putting it back on. But on Wednesday, a top South Korean official warned that significant differences remain between the two sides on how to achieve denuclearization. He said very, very carefully. So, we have said on this show, before, during, and after, that this is Donald Trump's big legacy move. He wants this. He wants this bad. Because by and large, he is on his best behavior. But at some point, if there is some kind of movement on this, and all those challenge coins come in handy, and they are indeed something that he can hang his hat on, it's something that people are going to have to give him credit for. Because a lot of people have tried to deal with the Uns. North Korea. This has been a problem since Ike. And you can make the argument that Kim Jong-un, or rather the Kims, sorry, racist. The Kims have been the problem. Kim Jong-il, Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-un. You can make the argument that North Korea wants peace because they have starved their nation to the point of, well, whatever the point where you starve your nation for 60 years. And this is what Donald Trump is apparently offering, is to help aid economic involvement. But I can't help but look at this in a holistic sense. that don't you notice New York Times had an article, the lead for which I fucking hated. It was like, Ivanka Trump got a bunch of trademarks while Donald Trump talks about a Chinese telecom. Coincidence? Probably. Literally, that was in the article. The article said, coincidence? Probably. Then why the fuck did you lead your article with it, dingus? Dickface? However, I do see that this ZTE talk happening around the same time that this North Korea shit is happening. I see a connection there. Because again, North Korea isn't about North Korea. North Korea is about China. So if China says we need to make sure that this telecom doesn't go under, and part of that is going to be being able to sell to the United States, and Donald Trump says, okay, well, we are looking to make 360-degree deals. We want you to make sure that this North Korea thing happens, and in exchange, I will make this thing happen for you. It's understanding that there are things beyond our vision. There's nothing you can really give to North Korea that China can't give to North Korea, and there's nothing that you can do to North Korea that China can't do worse. So, you have to make sure that China is at least okay with what's happening. And if that means that we're going to get the Housewives of Pyongyang this fall on ABC, after all, they have a space in their schedule now, then maybe that is exactly what will happen. I need my North Korea experts. I need more North Korea experts to tell me what the fuck is actually going on. But before we do that, let's go ahead and do the most controversial segment in all of politics. And this one's a special one. We like to cross the streams a little bit here and again. If you have never seen this show before, well, I would like to introduce you to the only way that data science is processed on this show. We like to party. We like to study. And in the middle, ladies and gentlemen, we get... Oh, we get to do it our way, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, please, I will remove the velvet rope so you can make your way into the...
Get on the floor if you got that booty.
Dance, 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 dance. This is a Utah policy Dan Jones poll for the Utah Senate seat, once held by Orrin Hatch. It was taken from May 15th to May 25th with a sample of 295 likely voters, a 5.7% margin of error. Coming up first to the stage, he is the Democrat, and I don't care what his first name is. With 24%, please get your dollars out for Mr. Kennedy!
Get on the floor if you got that booty.
But wait a minute. Hold on. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Did somebody forget their mittens? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, your headliner with 67% of the vote. He is Mitt Romney. That is Romney over Kennedy with a 43% spread. Let's go ahead and get into But Your Emails. That is where you can go ahead and send the show an email. TheYoungAmerican@gmail.com. Again, TheYoungAmerican@gmail.com. Dave writes, yo! Contrary to what Steve or whatever his name was said about the pole dance segment of your podcast, I find the intro absolutely hilarious, and it's my favorite part of the show. Dance, 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 dance. LOL, I love it. I love the podcast. It's my favorite podcast right now. I'm a big fan of politics, and I think you have the perfect take on it. Not partisan in any way. They're all clowns, in my opinion, and covering the interesting stories in a light comedic tone. I have yet to find anyone else who is doing anything else close to this. Brilliant. Wish it was on longer. Though, keep doing the damn thing. We might actually have to bump up back to 3 days. There was at one point this show was 3 days a week. Now you can still get 3 days a week on the $3 level, but we might have to go free 3 days a week again as we get closer to the election, because that'll be the time to kind of ramp up. I'll have to figure out another way that I can make it worth it for the $3 folks. Maybe we'll just move the extra days to Tuesday and Thursday, and you will get 5 days a week of politics, if you will. But we will cross that bridge when we come to it. Dave, thank you so much. And I will say this, in all earnestness, spread the word on this. You know, if you know somebody for whom likes politics, but this is obviously an irreverent left-of-center take, left-of-center in terms of how it's presented, not necessarily left-of-center politically, then please spread the word. This does not happen unless you guys make it happen. I'm not on a platform. I don't have somebody advertising for me. I don't have cross-promotion. What I got is you, babe. So do me a favor. Tell a friend, one friend, that this is a show that is worth listening to, and it would be a great appreciation. Scale writes, what I say, jury? The Dems are wasting their energy on the wave horse shit. What are they doing? Supporting Hamas and MS-13. What's the result? They're dropping in the polls. They can't help it, dude. They're going to sink under their own ship and drown in their own wave. Trump 2020. If you have not been listening to the podcast in a while, then please know that we are constantly on a wave watch. Scale, I'm going to tell you, brother, don't upshot yourself. Chickadee check yourself before you wreck yourself. Because part of the reason that Donald Trump won is because people underestimated the fundamental truth that it is very, 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 very hard to win, for one party to win the presidency 3 terms in a row. Similarly, it's very, 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 very hard for one party to keep the executive branch and both halves of the legislative branch. Normally, at least one gets sucked under the wave, into the undertow. So, I will agree that some of the generic ballot lead has shrunk, but you have still seen tremendous enthusiasm from Democratic voters in what would otherwise be close races during the midterms. Nothing is over. I very much believe that by the end of all this, the Republican majority in likely the House, but even possibly the Senate,
And quietly it gets swallowed by a wave.
what would happen?
It gets swallowed by a wave.
I mean, it's likely. Now, whether it'll happen, who knows? But don't start looking at polls and all of a sudden think that some of the underlying truths aren't truths now, right? They're wisdom for a reason. Galabon writes, as a listener to PX3, since the days it started as a TMS segment, I wanted to let you know about the candidate I am supporting for governor in Florida, leading to the primary. Chris King is an outsider politically. He's an entrepreneur who ticks all my boxes of the qualities that I like in a candidate. He's socially progressive, understands how to work on a budget, as somebody who started and run his own business. He's also fighting against the long-standing special interests that have held Tallahassee hostage for decades, from the NRA to Big Sugar. If you think that the Florida governor's race merits comment on the show, please consider talking about this race. If you think it merits an endorsement, then I hope you consider endorsing Chris King. Primaries in August, and I'm including a link to chriskingforflorida.com with this email. If you like what you see and have relatives and friends who are registered to vote in Florida, then I encourage you to share Chris King's link with them. I don't endorse people. On election day, I will tell you who I voted for, as I do every year, but I'm not one for endorsement, so I'm not going to be endorsing Chris King. I'd also be lying if I told you that I knew a lot about the Florida governor's race this year, despite the fact that it is indeed my home state. I am far more dialed into the Bill Nelson, Rick Scott race for Senate. However, if you have somebody that you are very much, if you're campaigning for somebody, if you are involved in trying to get somebody elected, I always love to hear about civic engagement. Tell me who you're supporting, and if we get enough of it, maybe we'll have a little shout-out segment or something like that. Oh, wait, I did endorse Kane. You're right. I did. I do willy-nilly endorsements, but it's normally like the 13-year-old who's running for mayor or the demon Kane. I guess maybe it doesn't matter, though. Kane did get elected. All right. So other than professional wrestlers, I don't really endorse a lot of people. But please feel free to try and sway me. I do enjoy attempting to be swayed. All right. That about wraps it up for this version of the show. A few things to go over before we wrap it up. Number one, again, if you want to support this show, patreon.com/JURY is where you do it. If you give $3 a week, I can't tell you how easy this shit is. You literally sign up for $3 a week. If you're already listening to this on a podcast, you can do it while I'm talking. Go to Patreon, pledge $3, and then there'll be a little box that says your custom RSS feed. You paste it into your podcatcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, whatever, and boom, it works. You don't got to log into anything. There's no authentication process. Patreon handles all that shit for you. I've gotten so many RSS feeds, custom RSS feeds that I've never used because I'm always just confused by them. I was able to do this one. That's why I'm telling you that it's easy, because I am an idiot and I was able to figure it out. Go check it out right now. Also, Amazon Prime. If you already got Amazon Prime, then go ahead and go on over to twitch.tv/JustinRYoung. Hit subscribe. It'll walk you through a process. If you don't have a Twitch account, you'll make one. Otherwise, boop, just subscribe. You got to make sure you do it every month. It doesn't auto-renew, so if you did it last month, haven't done it this month, head on back there. Takes you 2 seconds. It's a way to support the show without taking any other money out of your pocket. Amazon Prime just allows for $5 of your money to go to a Twitch sub. If it ain't going to anybody else, brother, do I have a home for that money? Also, nightattack.tv/tour if you are in San Diego or Santa Monica, June 9th and June 10th. I guarantee you these shows are going to be awesome. But until next week, ladies and gentlemen.
Politics, 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 politics.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can follow me on social media at Justin R. Young, everywhere you would normally find somebody on social media.
Come on, come on.
Music has been provided by Valesco and Crop Killers. Download archived episodes of this show at bonerwars.com and sign up for our free political newsletter 5 days a week. Free in your inbox. freepoliticalnewsletter.com. That about wraps it up. Ladies and gentlemen, some people talk about politics. Others talk about politics. Still more. Well, I talk about politics, but this is the only show that talks about all three. I will see you guys next week.
Come on, come on, come on, come on. Don't you ever, don't you ever, don't you ever.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.